If you take a large multinational and that system is not working, it's detrimental to their business. You know, a DHL or an Amazon not getting their parcels out, you would not be happy. And if that warehouse is not physically working, it's costing them millions by the day. So we need them to work, and we're not going to let our clients down, because, as I say, every day, every customer is a referral customer. So you've got an unhappy customer, they know everybody else in the industry, and that's going to tarnish your business, and I won't let that happen.
Sam Moffett, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. Really looking forward to today.
So tell me about Moffett Automation. Can you bring me through exactly what the business does, who the customers are, and just bear in mind that I know very little about what the problems of warehousing and industrial companies would be. So with that kind of hat on, could you kind of explain what it is you do?
Yeah, so look at Moffett Automation. We're a manufacturer of hardware and software for automating warehouses for palletized goods. So if you're looking to lift anything around the scale of a pallet, 1.5 ton, we will automate that from turnkey. So we'll go in, assess the building or what you're going to build. We can maybe double that throughput, double the size of the capacity that you're looking to reach, and look at energy savings, you know, change of labour. So you could be upskilling your staff into other areas of the business and taking away the tedious job of driving the forklift all day or doing stock take or all those other jobs, and upskill your team into other areas. So basically, a pallet comes off a truck or comes off a food production line or whatever, and we will automate it from that point. So it comes off a production line, it goes straight into our system, a warehouse with no lights on, no humans inside, and we're given 100% stock accuracy, low energy consumption. There's many USP behind it, but very dense storage. And yeah, we do all that from County Monaghan. So the industries that we're in would be pharma, food and beverage, third-party logistics, and cold storage. And they all have unique USPs in what we do. So manufacturing, you're not going out to a third-party logistics, and you're keeping your logistics in-house without needing a logistics centre because it's all automated. For third-party logistics, they're doubling the capacity of their traditional warehouse, doubling what the revenue that they can do in the same building, or half the building size if they're going to build something new, with reduced labour, energy, you know, rates, many different things that we don't need to go into today, but there's a lot of USP. And then for pharma, stock accuracy, clean, no human contact, and again, many other aspects of that. The other benefit of the automation is, you know, land is expensive, but to go vertical, essentially we call it free. It's not exactly free, but it's free to go up. And with the automation, we're going as close as 40 metres. So your traditional warehouses in Ireland are anything between 8 and 15. We're going to 40, so nearly 3 times the height. So obviously land around airports might be a bit restricted, but other than that, we can go pretty high, and the automation allows you to do that.
And Sam, just because I looked at some videos online, and it's essentially when the pallet comes off the truck, it kind of goes on to almost like a little train, and that kind of goes into the warehouse, and it'll put it on the right shelf. It could be, as you say, you know, very high up, and then it records what's there, when it went in, and all that kind of stuff. Is that
Yeah,
roughly?
Look, you're not far off it. So the pallet will come off a truck or come off a production line or whatever. It'll go into our system. We will weigh it, measure it to make sure it's okay, make sure the pallet is fit for a purpose. We will then store the product by a stock keeping unit or a batch ID. And that's all easy. And I think the industry can do that as a whole. But when it gets complicated is if you've got baby food and detergent, we will separate those to make sure they stay away from each other. If you've got bottled alcohol or bottled drink that may have a tendency to break or leak, we can store them on the ground floor. The algorithms of how to run that warehouse is where the software really makes the difference. So you might have a grocery store that is looking for 20 pallets of different product. During the night, our system can be going and sorting out those pallets and bringing it local to the outbound area where we take the pallets out to put on the trailer, and assorting it by lorry load. So you're not going off trying to find the pallets there and then. We actually are working through the night, sorting the warehouse for tomorrow's deliveries. And then it's just how you deal with that warehouse. And it's every client needs to operate their warehouse very different. You may think it's just about bringing them in and bringing the first in, first out, which we call FIFO. It's very different to that. You could have a food factory who need a quarantine product until it passes a QC check. It could be a farmer that needs to hold a certain product for a lifespan or whatever it is. Every warehouse has to operate differently. The bare bones of it is we take a pallet in, we store it, and we take it out. That's the easy part. But it's how it actually functions for your warehouse requirement is where we make a big difference, I would say.
For anyone who's not watching this, say on YouTube, I just want to tell them that you're incredibly young, and you look a lot younger than I kind of expected you would be when you came in. Can you talk about just how you got into this business and how you kind of came up with the concept and how you've kind of gotten to where you are today?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate, I'd say, through my younger years. I did Harvard. I did want to learn it, but I was also very lucky. So I grew up 50 yards from my family business. We manufactured the red forklift that you'd see going down the motorway. If you're probably listening to this on a podcast in your car, look to your left or right and there may be a red forklift in the back of a trailer. And my father invented that machine back in 1986. So I was born in 1989. So I grew up with a mature business operating as my playground. And really from there, in the evenings after school or whatever, I just seen every aspect of a business and I grew up in it. And that business was sold in 1997 and a new business, Combi Lift, which my father and Martin McVicker owned, started in 1998. I was now 9 years of age, understanding, still in the road for sure, but starting to understand things. And I would have started doing summer work at 12 years of age. Again, maybe I wasn't too productive, but I was still trying and sweeping the floor and power washing and doing whatever I could. But I grew up in a business where I was involved in sales meetings, warranty issues. I was customer service, but I was very hands-on. I always thought I would just build forklifts for the rest of my life when I was 14 or 15. That was my goal for the rest of my life, basically. But I just loved it. Progressed through there, left school at 17, wanted to get into the family business very quick, and kind of just worked my way through that. Done, as I say, probably every element of the business, probably apart from finances. And we manufactured a 500,000 square foot manufacturing facility in 2017. It was Ireland's largest manufacturing facility under one roof. And I was standing there one day and we built our stores up on nearly 20 meters, and it was a fallback for another production area, but the stores was there as an expansion for another area of the production. And our forklifts are very good, but it has a limiting factor to do with the seesaw effect of lifting it and then the pallet being so heavy, and we could kind of go to about 12 meters. And I said to my father, we need to go higher, and there's a limiting factor to that. And it kind of snowballed from there that I says, we have to get into automation. And it's a very, very different business model. They sell a product, goes in a trailer, and essentially you never see that machine again. You've got nothing to do with warehouse or Wi-Fi or power infrastructure on site or nothing. And it wasn't going to fall under the one roof because you'd have exclusive dealers, like a car dealership type of scenario for the fork truck. So I headed back to our original factory at the end of 2017. Well, sorry, midst the middle of 17, I registered a business and was working nighttime with a friend of mine, coming up with ideas to see if this would work before I kind of put my 2 feet in. And come the Christmas of 17, I went with 2 feet in and went for it. I employed a guy and he's still with me today. I found my CTO, a Finnish guy who's a genius, and we started developing for about a year, a hardware from my side and a software from my CTO, and yeah, look, it was a few years of sheer pain, and you've good days and bad days, but I always had the vision that it would work. We would never give up on it. It definitely was very different. I've come from experience of a lot of knowledge within business, and yeah, it started from there, and we got getting the first site in place, and I was very fortunate to get our first premises in Dublin, and we leased that out.
What about your first customer, Sam? So obviously the idea and the kind of engineering side of it, and getting the product right and everything. I suppose you kind of when you had your first customer, you must have thought, wow, well, like someone's going to pay for this, so I know it's definitely commercial. What was that like, or can you remember who it was?
Yeah, look at it. We couldn't get somebody. You imagine you've got a brand new 50,000 square foot building, and you've got a brand new company that has never done any automation before, and you're going to fill your warehouse with 10,000 pallets or whatever it is, and this might not work. It's not about taking a piece of equipment out. It's about your whole warehouse is now taken up with this piece of automation. Everything, every inch of space. And if it does not work, you're goosed. So we ended up building a smaller system, about 3,000 pallets, and we leased it out to a company. And the lease was like, it had the system, the lease was part of it, had to work. And from there, now we had a reference site, which in turn gave the next customer the confidence that there was someone else already have taken the opportunity, albeit they were leasing it. We were trying to find people who had a bigger challenge with their warehouse than they did on taking the risk on just taking their first system from Moffett, which ended up leading us out to the Middle East.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely a challenge within a new business in going so far away. It was bad enough going to Dublin from Monaghan, the other side of the M50. We thought that was bad, but heading to the Middle East was definitely a challenge. We definitely were missing half the material whenever we got out there, and project planning maybe wasn't at its best, but we made it work. It was good. We learned a lot, and from there then you can say we're international and all that, and we did get good help from the likes of Enterprise Ireland. We were a HPSU, and getting market discovery, and even just for our own country and just general market, it was very good. And yeah, that actually took us to orders in Holland and the UK, and then the next one was back in Ireland, which was great, only 30 minutes from us. But once you had an apport of 3 or 4 systems, you were getting credibility and confidence from clients, but not big companies. Sorry, all those companies that I'm talking about are big, don't get me wrong. But a Tesco's or a Musgraves or anything, they would still see our finances as way too risky. So like, we were in tenders that we done very well on, we got into the final 2 on, and the accountants would have looked at them and go, I don't care how good they are, they're way too small. It's too much risk. Their turnover is smaller than the project value. You're out. And we still have that today, because we're looking at monumentally sized warehousing, in the US or wherever. But even today, we know we've over 25 live warehouses across the world in 11 different countries. You can still get a sense of nervousness, because we're in the tens of millions of turnover, whereas some of our competitors are 3 billion. So still learning and still growing, but we're definitely disruptive on the market today.
You said a little earlier that there was kind of, I can't remember the exact phrase you used, but you said there was kind of a lot of pain in those early days, and maybe still today. Could you talk a little bit about it? Because I think looking at the business, right, from the outside in, it just looks like a straight line up to the right and everything's going so well, and isn't it such an incredible business? But for you personally, could you just talk about maybe 1 or 2 of those kind of darker moments?
Oh, yeah, I suppose I can win it. I came from an area where we manufactured a product and you sold the product. And I could tell you everything about every washer, screw, bolt of a forklift, the engine, how to drive it, I'd have been, I knew it all inside out. Coming into something completely different, I was still trying to sell a product, but nobody cared about the tire, the motor, anything. It was a solution that they needed. They needed to guarantee it would work. When it didn't work, how quickly would it get going again? And so it took me a while to realize that I have to sell a solution. It's not about how comfortable is the cabin for the seat or the ergonomics or anything to do with that. It's like, will this perform? Can you guarantee it? And will it achieve the numbers that I need to be? They don't care about anything else, really. Also in that, we were trying to be competitive. So we were looking at like racking, which is a big part of our solution. We were looking at it to come from cheaper areas of the world, let it be Turkey or China or wherever it was. And our first few systems, we, again, trying to be competitive, get in the door, and the accuracies and tolerances and install of that alone wasn't there, which again wouldn't allow our automation to work. And then just our software. I'll never forget taking an Irish company, I'll not name them, to see the very first system in operation. It was only in operation a few weeks, but Murphy's Law, as it is the system would not move when they went to see it. And that's the one and only time something like that has really ever happened. But like, I will never forget that. And like, my family name is above the door, so like, I'm very responsible for myself, family name and everything. But we do have a lot of challenges. But back then, when the system didn't work or a client couldn't get the pallet out, it is today still the end of the world. But back then, it had so much more meaning, because if you've one unhappy client, which we try to make every client obviously happy, but everyone's going to have a niggly thing about something. But back then, when you're 1 or 100% of your business is not working per se, you had to put the accountant was on site trying to make sure it would work for them and for your references and getting good references. And one thing I do tell the company is that every customer should be a referral customer. Still today, everyone is as important. The small warehouse is as important as the big. But back then it was, the automation not working, the mechanics failing or whatever. And I spent weekends out in Holland fixing machinery because we went into cold storage for the first time. And we thought we were ready. We R&D'd everything. We put in freezers at our factory to test it. But until you get into the big bad world and it actually goes through that, you start seeing your challenges. But I'd be very confident that any customer that we have is say that we never left anyone behind, and we always got their warehouses working at the early stages. And that's why, no matter how bad it might have been day one for them, we always stuck by them. And they have and will order more systems from us, because we will never let them down. We'll always hold their hands up when there's something wrong. And I think I learned that through probably family heritage, looking and dealing with it as a 15-year-old child at a customer's site, listening to their challenges. And at all costs, every client is a reference. So we need them all speaking good, and we need them all performing as they bought them. And I will always stick by that in any way.
Does it feel more intense when it's your business and it's your name over the door? Like, obviously it was a family business you grew up in, so I mean, partially you would have felt some ownership over it and some I suppose you wanted to uphold your family name and reputation and all of that. But does it feel worse or more intense when it's you?
No, I'm a 2 feet in kind of person. So still today, if someone rang me up with something to do with the rest of the family business, like, I would still want to try and resolve that or whatever. No, I would still feel a sense of responsibility in anything that has anything to do with me. So I'd say there is an element, because I've nobody else to fall back on, where I left a company of probably 500 or 600. Starting from zero. Now they're 800 or 900 people, but yes, a little bit, but not a lot, because I still would take a lot of pride in anything that I'm involved in. So it would affect me nearly as much, but definitely that wee bit more now, yeah.
In preparation for this, I heard you talk about starting out, and that you had this belief and I suppose a goal that you could become a world leader. as such. And I was wondering, where did the inspiration of that come from? Because was it essentially from the family business and seeing what your dad and his business partner had built? Because as you've kind of said yourself, you're in rural Ireland with not a huge amount of kind of other maybe business inspiration from around the place. Was it really the family business that gave you the idea that you could be a global leader?
We have two global leader family businesses, the two forklift industries that have came. One has came and went, and others still strongly there. I'm a very competitive person, extremely. I don't accept number two. I've grown up that it's win or you're last, and I don't know why. Some people might question it, but I just want to be the best at what we do. We are actually, at the minute, we would be the best in our technology space. There is other ways of automating a warehouse within our specific industry in the technology that we use. I'm not trying to be overconfident in saying that, but we have definitely got the best software and best solutions on the market for what we do. And the mechanics is one thing, but our software really complements that. There is other companies that are bigger than us, but they've got a brand name that allows them to have more governance on the world. For us, we are growing naturally. I'm not trying to take in 100 million investment and scale the business. I want to naturally scale it to stay in control, deliver quality, deliver on time, and keep every client as happy as I can. I'm everyone's going to have small disgruntles of it, something being late or something didn't work one day. But, I've had a lot of people ask me about, would you not accelerate the business and put 50 million in and open branches over everywhere and triple your turnover overnight? And I believe that we could. I've no doubt about it, but I don't want it to get out of control. And I've seen a lot of businesses do that and have bigger challenges than just trying to scale. You can have a lot of scale and failures, and none of our family businesses have ever done that, and I don't want to do that for that reason as well.
How does competitiveness come into it? So obviously you have insanely high standards for yourself and everyone around you. How does it really, when the rubber meets the road as such in the business, how does the competitiveness make such a difference?
That's a very good question. How does so you've got a client who is maybe stuck on a solution in their head, and they maybe are a little bit tunnel vision on what they want to do. So I'd be very much intrigued to try and change their mindset. And, we have a lot of clients who, first of all, they're looking to do something with the warehouse. We have to sell them automation, and then we have to sell them our own automation. So when you change them over from a manual operation to automation, it just opens up a pool of automation competitors. But we can try and beat our automation competitors, which is, a competitive game in its own. But I also like to see that people are taking that investment today and even overturning them into the automation sector at a 25-meter warehouse and farm or a cold store or whatever it is. I just want to deliver the best solution that works for them. Some people want to take in a consultant, and the consultant can say, well, if it works or not, the consultant can be blamed or whatever. And I want to be there to make sure we deliver the right solution. And I've walked away from solutions that I don't believe are right, and I don't want to put my name to something that I know is not going to work, or I don't believe that the client or the consultant wants us to do something that's not right. I also believe in, if it's right, it's right, and if it's not, it's not. So there is times I go, the automation's not for you, or there's a partner, an integrator who want us to do something like, I don't believe that's going to work. We're going to have to stand away. So the competitive is making sure we are right, we deliver it right, but we also hold our hands up and say, guys, I think you're off on the wrong track here. Because I would say I have a very good understanding for the technology, automation, warehousing, and logistics. So I feel I bring a very rounded approach to something. But I also believe that the truth will always come out if you're being honest with people. And the competitive nature is giving that honest opinion and not just trying to win. It's about honest, and I think that will give you a competitive edge, which in the long run will help you win.
How about managing and leading people that are older than you, I'm sure, longer experience in the industry? Has that ever been a challenge for you?
Yeah, one of the pieces of advice my father told me from his younger days, because he started his businesses very young, is try and get people around you the same age. And they can go on that journey with you. And I do have a pretty young workforce. Obviously, there is people older than me and a few people quite a few years older than me. But because I've been in the industry since, I would say, 15, I've over 20 years experience. So I grew up trying to sell something to people when I was very young, and they looked over me to try and find an older person. But when I could prove that I knew exactly what I was talking about, I could gain that respect because I probably had more information than the other salespeople around me. I find that I have a mature enough level that I can work with people who's older than me quite well. Due to that fact, I have the knowledge or maturity of that. At the same time, it can come with some challenges, and I would say is I'm definitely not book smart or academically, so there is a lot of people who I would lean on for some of that, in my peers, even within the business, who have, been around the world a few more times than me, grown up and experienced things that I haven't. So, I never have an issue in anybody's age. I don't actually care for like any cultures or any of those things. If you're here to work and do a job, I do not care about your background at all. As long as you're coming in to give your best for me today, that's all I'm asking for. And we've a very good team, young enough team, to be honest. I say our average age is pretty low, but they're all growing with the business, and you have to upskill a lot of people. We do a lot of upskilling in our business. We take a lot of people through upskilling and a few colleges local to us, and I love to see people progressing within the business than having to take someone out and in from the outside in. It gives me a sense of pride for the business. So
With a competitive mindset of being kind of first or you lose, do you feel the losses? Because I'm sure there's things you've tended for that you felt that you were right for, and you were. They said to you, "Listen, you were the next in line, but we had to go with this." Do you feel those a little bit harder? Do you think because of your kind of competitive?
Very, very much so. So we lost an order last year. Would have been one of our bigger orders. And it went to a small competitor, I would say, and I'm not belittling them in any way, but it was their first into Europe. The reason we lost it was I highlighted issues that our partner did not want to hear. He says, you're going to have a problem there. It's going to cost the client this. And I just believed that, and I was, not to say I'm always right, definitely not, but it ended up costing the client about 15 to 20% more in the overall project because of certain aspects of the building. We were highlighting that, but we were creating a noise to say, like, guys, you need to highlight this and X, Y, and Z. And there's a side of me saying, I'm glad that I didn't missell something and tarnished my name for misselling something, and we highlighted the issues. And not to say we were right, as I said, but like, it did happen. It did cost a lot more. We were just trying to be honest up front. And do I regret that point? Definitely not. Could I have been savvy and went and took the order and landed the minute? No, I would rather sleep at night and say we done the right thing. And as I say, on the long road, we will definitely take advantage out of that. So I think honesty is key there.
You have quite a, I suppose, an engineering, even though I suppose you went straight into the family business after school. You're kind of an engineer, really. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I definitely don't have any qualifications, but I would have a good general understanding of many aspects of it. I would understand hydraulics, I'd understand electrics, and I understand general functionality of what software could do. Couldn't read a page of software, but I would understand generally what is possible and what's not possible and what I would like it to do and what a customer would need. And I would sit with the engineers, never enough, but I would sit with them and give them ideas on what I do and don't like, but I couldn't physically draw something. As I say, I've a unique set of skills which worked for me, I would say, and hopefully the team back at the factory. I definitely don't like micromanaging. I've seen that done in many different businesses, and trying to give them the empowerment to do their own thing. I just have come from a lot of experience within the business, so I can try and guide them as much as possible. And I wouldn't say I have OCD, but I do like things done right. And yeah, it might not be for the drawing, but I know what I think will work and what won't work. So
How important is that? Because you do a lot of selling, and I think when people think about sales, they think about kind of the used car, pushing things on people, trying to get them to buy and, figure it out later and this kind of thing. But how important, I suppose, is that kind of technical knowledge and knowing how to solve the customer's problem?
there's even an Irish company here, and when I look to sell to somebody, it's not about my solution. It's about their process. So how, if it's a food factory, how that food is coming in, how it's going through their factory, how it's packaged, how it comes into us and how it goes out. Because there could be certain elements of the business that we could be helping them with. And it's unknowns to them for them to even realize what we're doing. And it's really adding the extra value of our solution, whether it's a QC area or how it's coming in or actually storing the raw material in the same warehouse. Whatever, it could be the smallest of detail. It doesn't matter if it's at the start of the process where milk is coming out of a farm and coming in and through a factory and out the other side. There might be something that we can pick up on, that how we can make our storage system. And some people find that hard to believe. It's like, why do you care about my whole process? It's like, there may be small things that we can pick up that'll actually make this, because some people see the storage as the last part of a chain, because the automated processing line or whatever is their money-making machine, and the storage is a lost earner. But when we can do so much more with that storage, and I kind of hate sounding like a salesperson, because there is things that we can do within there, whether it's quarantining product, storing it separately, guaranteeing 100% stock accuracy and rack damage and all those good things. But it's the operation of it, and how that functions, and maybe how it comes into the warehouse. It could come off an automated machine, it could come off a production line or whatever it is. We can really help them with that. So I love getting into the detail of a client's warehouse, the process of their business, so that we can give them the right solution. It's not about the price or anything. That'll come at the very end. Might be higher than they expected, of course, but to me, the piece I love most, or going to the meeting, is about the design and the solution. That's my forte.
What's the most difficult part for you personally about kind of running and growing the business?
Probably bringing it to the next step. For me, like, I am young enough, I haven't been around the full detail of any business or bringing it to this size. When I kind of started this business when I was 27. There's a lot of factors where now, we're looking at company registration in different countries, and just there's a whirlwind of new things coming at me that, I'm trying to adapt to, and even adapting to the scale of our business. We're at 110 staff plus, and growing that, getting the culture mindset right through the business. Because when you're a small company, small wheel turns fast, big wheel turns slow. And I want to try and keep that cultured small business effect, so that we can be pivotal, we can diversify for the client and do all those things. And it's a school day every day for me. There's plenty of challenges, and I'm definitely not an expert in any of those. So like, I have very good pillars within the business who know a heck of a lot more than I do. So like, for me, it's learning off them as well. And biggest challenges is probably scaling the business now into bigger and bigger steps, and trying to get the mindset of the business that we are a big company globally and not just a small rural Monaghan business.
How has your role changed in the business kind of over time? And as you've grown, you started off with what you just said. I hired one guy who's still with me today, and now you're 110 plus. and it hasn't been that long. You know, like how long has it been? It's been less than 10 years overall.
Oh, we're only really going 7.5, 8 years, but 8 years. Yeah, my first few years was back in the Snickers trousers and the Snickers hoodie, and it went 100% that to half the time in normal shirt and trousers into what I would say unfortunately into a shirt the whole time. If you had to give me a choice, I'd be happier on the factory floor than I would be anywhere. And you know, I was the install manager, I was the mechanic and everything else for many years, and it's only probably in the last 3.5, 4 years that I'm not on sites for periods of time, just because of, I don't know, it was my business, my experience, and the sense of it needed to work. Every site still needs to work today, but we have a team to ensure that. Back then, it wasn't a very big team, so yeah, you were the most of it. So, bringing what I like doing is selling and building. What am I doing every day? Managing departments, figuring out challenges with bank warranties, bank guarantees with my CFO, managing cash flow. You know, I'm flying out to Canada again. I'm out there quite a lot to showcase one of our largest warehouses to one of the largest grocery stores in the US, and like there's 16 people coming there. I know that I can do the best job in front of those people for our business to secure more business. And yes, one or two people go into a site. We've got a good infrastructure of sales teams to do it, but I just couldn't miss those opportunities to get in front of those people to do that. I wouldn't sleep for the 2 days before or after if I wasn't there. So yeah, I love being in front of clients and showcasing what we do well.
Talk to me a little bit about Motorsport, because I saw a little bit online that you were well. I don't think you do it anymore, but it was kind of a big passion for you. Could you just talk a little bit about that and kind of before you started the business and what that kind of world looked like for you?
Yeah, look, I grew up. I have two brothers. One is I was about to say 17. I one who is God, I'm 36, so he's 33, 34, and I have a 19-year-old brother as well. But my closest brother, Josh, who's 35 or 34, I don't even know. There you go. But we would have grown up around the same time, and we'd have done everything together in terms of racing go-karts. I was in an engine powered go-kart at 2.5 years of age. I certainly wouldn't let my 4-year-old girl in it, but I will very soon, hopefully. I restored it. But I grew up wanting petrol all the time, and my father left me and my brother to it, but we taught each other. One was going faster than the other, so we always went round the fields, destroyed many fields, which my father would have went ballistic about. And my mother was into motorsport, and so was my father. So we grew up with speed, and that's definitely where my competitive edge came from. And a small bit of engineering. They always broke down. We always hit something, pulled a wheel off, and it was just about whether we learned to weld at a very young age because something broke and we had to fix it, and it would have been asking someone in the factory to fix it. It was too hard or whatever, and we were just involved in cars and everything. And I don't think we were bad children, but we definitely pushed our limits in devilmentness. It was never about going out partying or anything at a young age, like right up until I'd say we were both 17 at that time. Like we didn't really go out much, but up until that we were petrol. Can someone take us to a track? We were racing in amateur sports from about 12. He was 12, I was 14. And it just grew to be bigger and bigger, and we always wanted to win a category before we got out of a category. It wasn't just about getting into the best car. We wanted to establish ourselves in the classes. The problem with motorsport is in the Premier League, you have to be Premier League status to get in there. You can't be a bad footballer and just buy your way in. The problem with motorsport is if you've got money, you can just have the fastest car. Doesn't mean you're going to be the fastest. You could be still last in the race, but just have the fastest car. But we always believed that you should conquer the class before stepping up. And then we went into the fastest cars, and we were both successful, and I was obviously that wee bit older, and we have two very different driving styles, but I probably had a more logical driving style and thinking about the championship than just a race win. But look at it. Loved it. Obviously, the younger I was, I had no fear. I had no young family to think about, and my parents were giving out if we weren't winning type thing. So like, it was always a drive to go as fast as we could. And yeah, you know, I won the Billy Coleman Young Driver of the Year in 2011. And that was my rallying accolade back then. I was, whatever he is, I must have been 17 or something, or 20, whatever it was. I don't even know, 20 something. And then through the years, got busy in the business, done a little bit less rally, and then maybe got opportunities to do more again. In 2017, I won 4 championships and kind of sickened myself with a full year of a lot of races. And it was like 17 or 18 races in the year. And yeah, it all just fell in place for me. I had a very good team, a very good mechanic, very good co-pilot, very good gravel crew, who's people who check my road description as I drive around the road. They'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. They done a good job, and it is a team effort. I was just the driver. It's no different than any sport. It does take a team effort, and there's no I in team. And we had a very good package that year, and that was kind of my pinnacle. After that, it very much dropped off. Coming into starting the business, the interest in the sport had just died off a little bit, but I was still doing races, but I just wasn't putting the effort in. I didn't have the people checking my notes to make sure that I was doing that, and I was just doing it because I'd done it, I would say. I still had the love for it. In 2019, I had a fantastic race, and I had the adrenaline to want to win in Donegal International, and it was stopped with unfortunate circumstances, but I had a real fantastic race that weekend, and we were leading at the time, but probably just don't have the same interest or thrill. And the time, or I'm traveling and getting home for some of the bigger races in Ireland, you'd have to be home on a Wednesday night to go to West Cork or to go to Killarney or to go to Donegal or whatever, and I'd be coming back in from wherever in the world, and jet lag or whatever, and just didn't have the heat. And now with young kids and stuff, and it's harder again because you're coming home from flying and you're trying to go to a race, and you could be away in a meeting or have to go to Dublin on Monday or whatever it is, and you're not seeing your family for a long time. So just the interest in it, and I'm trying to find other forms of motorsport to take up less time, just to give me the kick and the adrenaline and the switch off that I should do. And yeah, look, I still love it and I follow it. I just, maybe in a few years when my children are a bit older, and if I have a good structure in the business, I'll get the drive for it again. But at the minute, I'm trying circuit racing. I tried a bit of drifting, which I used to do when I was very young, and just now doing it more for the love of motorsport than the want and desire to win, which is, it's a struggle. I still want to win at anything I go to do, so it's tough.
Did you ever want to be a professional at this?
No. I done world rally rounds. I've been to Azores for European races. I've been to Germany and the UK for world rally championships. But it's a lot of draining work that people, like, the rally itself is only one thing. The day that you're in the car, there's been weeks of preparation, night times of videos, watching the roads, sitting with your co-pilot, looking at all the things. And it's a very, very complex sport. So like looking at weather conditions, all the what ifs. You know, you see strategies in Formula One about, you know, what happens if there's a yellow flag in the first 7 races. They have a strategy for every single lap in Formula One on all the what ifs. In rallying, slightly different, but for an amateur, it's as big as all that. All the strategies, looking at all the conditions of every piece of road you have to go on, and what if, and what tyres to carry if it does do that, and road surfaces. And it's a lot of work in the World Championship, and probably because we are so involved in the family business, I always know that I was never going to be good enough. it's a 1 in a million or billion that's going to make it that far. And I was probably too interested in the business to go down that road. It was a hobby, dip our toe in a few things, enjoy it to the maximum, and get back to work on Monday.
As you were speaking about that, but also how you talk about the business and how you run the business, and what way what way you can sleep at night with the business. I was thinking, especially when you were talking about we wanted to be the best in the category before we moved up. We wanted that kind of very high quality as a driver to know that we were good enough to kind of do be in the next phase or be promoted. And it does seem that you're the very same way about the business, is that you want to make sure that things are right and that you have a good product before, let's say, you even think about, you wouldn't even want to take on a huge amount of finance and scale up, because you want to make sure that you're building in a high quality way. Am I kind of right in drawing that line?
You're right. I would have a fear of losing control of quality, reputation, the diversification, because I think if we got into mass production, you're going to have a lot of other challenges. And I don't know if I'm a control freak. I don't think I am, but I would hate that sense of loss of control, things going badly wrong. You have to imagine if you take a large multinational and that system is not working, it's detrimental to their business. A DHL or an Amazon not getting their parcels out, you would not be happy. And if that warehouse is not physically working, it's costing them millions by the day. So we need them to work. Now, our software and our hardware is coming on, and we are scaling massively now. But it also has to become at a way that we have to guarantee it's going to work, and we're not going to let our clients down, because, as I say, every day, every customer is a referral customer. So you've got an unhappy customer, they know everybody else in the industry, and that's going to tarnish your business. And I won't let that happen.
Do you think that's been the key to your success to date?
Yes, I've heard and seen warehouses not working and things like that. I won't let that happen. It has to work. Now, there's challenges from the client side, and they have to fix their own. Don't get me wrong. Every day they could have quality issues with their own product or how it's coming to us or whatever. We'll still stick by them and help them. They have their own things to do, but for sure we have to do our side right. And I think that's where, if you take our first ever clients, when things have went wrong, we've stuck by them. And they have said to other clients, they've had problems, but you know what? They'll actually never let you down. And I think no matter about your product, if you can stick by your client and keep them right, and when they have a problem themselves and you look after them, they'll look after you type thing, I think that does gain you far more respect than just a price and being that 5% more, competitive or whatever. If you're there for them and you need them and vice versa, I think that's a lot more than just finances.
You were an overall winner in the 2023 Entrepreneur of the Year, EY's Entrepreneur of the Year program. And it's very rare for people who don't know, it's obviously extremely rare to win that in the emerging category, which is the kind of younger business. Can you talk just a little bit about that process, how you got involved in it, and whether you kind of thought you might win going into it?
So an interesting fact there is 20 years before me, Martin McVicker, my father's partner in Combi Lift, he won it in the emerging category 20 years previous to me that time.
And am I right in saying that was the only time someone had won the overall in the emerging category before you?
I believe so. Could be wrong, but I believe so. Now, I think Shorta won it.
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
And credit to them. But I certainly didn't think that, not that we weren't deserving that, and that's not the right word, but there was some phenomenal companies in my year that I was in awe of. And I couldn't even start naming them all, because we had a fantastic year. We're still very close. I'm obviously far away, or that's my excuse anyway, that I'm down in Monaghan. It's hard to get up and meet a lot of people all the time, but we have a very successful and very good year, and some of them went on even from then to do big and wonderful things. and it definitely wasn't in my radar to win. Now, don't get me wrong, I wanted to win because I'm that competitive person. But also I understand where I'm in a position if I can win or something. Like if you go back to rallying and you put me into the World Rally Championship, I know I'm not going there. I'm going to give it my all, but my expectation is not that I'm going to win. If you send me to an Irish rally, my expectation is to win, and I'd be disappointed if I didn't. In this, I was like, if I could win my category, it would be some achievement. But I did not believe that I could win the overall. It was not on my radar to win the overall. As I say, it would have been a dream to win it. But look, the judges asked me very good questions. None of them were really in the same industry as me. Some of them had logistical issues or could understand the logistics behind what we were doing. And, look, it is a very disruptive technology that we are doing. It's scalable. It has high redundancy. And hopefully I explained that very well. And, the business grew naturally, and there's some people doing hundreds of millions of turnover in the business. And, I just hope I can do the year that we had proud and honor that winner profile. But, it was a dream coming true. For me, it was my diploma or my achievement within, a college degree or whatever. I don't have any of that, and not to say I don't care for it, but I'm a person who's like to say that you don't need the degree to do something. Now, I had a lot of ambition and I had a lot of opportunity because of my family, but I just couldn't believe it. And in rallying, I won the Young Driver of the Year thing, and that was my achievement for the rallying and things like that. And this was my achievement for business personally and for the company, because there was a few people involved. I'm not good at documentation, so filling out all the UI forms, they done a phenomenal job on that. Even showing different people around and different things like that. Just everything was just worked out well.
Has it changed anything for you or the business winning it?
For the business, so some companies, if you're an e-commerce or if you're on the shelf of a supermarket, I'd say it would be a massive help. For us, it helped us in a credibility of the name of myself and the business. It's probably not where people are just going to buy systems from us because they know that we're an EY winner. But what it has done is the age of our business, and the understanding that the EOY has chose us as a winner, and we went to Monaco, and all that experience was phenomenal. So it's definitely given me a lot more credibility as a business, especially when it's at the footer of my emails and people ask you about it and things, and they're like, okay, there's definitely something to this person, but also to this business. So it's definitely helped me in a young entrepreneur trying to grow their business and giving you that backbone of belief from EY, basically.
I'm wondering, has it helped your confidence? And I kind of say that because you're a very confident person, and I was a little bit, I wasn't sure what you were going to be like, actually. And just for people who can't see you, you're very approachable, right? You're very actually kind of warm, and you're telling me you're confident, right? And I can tell there's confidence there, but you don't come across as kind of bullish or in any way arrogant. It doesn't slip over into overconfidence or anything at any stage. So I'm kind of wondering, has it always been the case? And did you wanted to win, and you thought maybe you could win your category, so the confidence was there? But has it helped your confidence personally?
I would say it does give me a bit more confidence because, as I say, I look around at going to the EY Gala Ball, and I still find everybody's probably smarter than me, and that's very genuine. I don't want to get into any conversations about the news or political or any of that stuff, because genuinely I know nothing about any of it. I can sit here and talk to you about my business all day, forever and a day, but take me out of what I know and I'll just bury into a hole because I don't know anything to do with probably anything else, to be honest. So confidence would be around my business and what I know. After that, no, I'd say the conversation and stuff would be pretty limited, to be honest. Definitely the program has given me some confidence around other businesses, because I still feel like, as I said, they're probably all a lot more smarter than me in a lot of terms. But yeah, I think the confidence is around my business and the things I know well.
Talk to me about balance, because we had a quick chat before about kind of young family and everything else. And I think it's definitely easy for someone kind of from the outside looking in to say, God, like, it's such an incredible business and it's so successful. And I'm wondering, is there a personal cost to that? And I suppose, like many, I suppose every single entrepreneur that's been in here talking about their business, they have had to work extremely hard. Yeah, I'm wondering, have you kind of felt that?
Yes, for sure. I do try when I'm not traveling. I'll be home every evening. Home for dinner, sit with the kids. That's a must. The phone will sit at the back door basically until they go to bed. I may have to then go back and start talking to America, where there's a 5 hour, 6 hour, 7 hour time difference. But I would always try and spend that hour or two in the evening. Traditionally, I'm up at whatever time, 6:30, 7 o'clock. The kids, they're a bit like me, early risers, so normally get a half an hour with them. Unfortunately, then I have to go traveling, so I'll be a week in Canada, or a week in the US, or I was in the Middle East last week actually, for a week. And yeah, it all takes its toll. I don't want to be the parent who's missing out on events and things like that. I grew up with a busy family, and I probably now understand that a little bit more, in where they've had to make sacrifices or not wanted to do things, and I can see some of that now. I don't want to miss, plays or whatever the case may be, and sometimes you have to make these hard decisions, and it's not easy, and you have to try and not lose connection with my kids. And I'd say I have a very good connection with them and all, but when you have to go away for weeks, it's not easy. And so I try to be there every evening when I can, and I would literally, for that hour in the evening, don't answer the phone at all. But after that, I'd say I'm very accessible. Yeah, it doesn't be easy, and that's where trying to juggle too many things is can be difficult. And yeah, family obviously first, and then the business. My wife might say it's the other way around, but yeah, no, family definitely first, but it does make sacrifices at the same time for the business, and fair play to them for sticking by me on it.
Sam Moffett, it's been a pleasure having you in today. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I've learned a huge amount. Thank you so much for doing it. And look, we wish you the best of luck with Moffett Automation in the future.
Yeah, look, thanks very much for having me. You've been very easy to talk to, so fair play, and I think we've had a good open chat, so I appreciate the time.